Texas versus Johnson still remains to this day as one of the most influential cases brought before the United States Supreme Court, challenging First Amendment rights. In order to fully understand everything this case entails, we must take a step back and understand it from an historical context. The nature of this case ties together sociological ideologies, political ideologies, and gives us an idea of what being a true American meant. First off, let us understand where the U.S. was at this point in time, politically. At the time of this case, the U.S. had been long invested in a tension-ridden relationship with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, also known as the USSR. What we now know as the Cold War started roughly after the end of World War II. By the end of Texas versus Johnson, the Cold War was nearing an end. There was still this fear of communists that emanated through the American people. This was most commonly known as the Red Scare.
The Red Scare set the precedent for how the courts made decisions in cases that dealt with patriotic ideology versus communist ideology. Let's first examine Stromberg versus California. This case primarily dealt with the concept of clear and present danger. The case involved a summer camp that was being partially run by a Communist Party group. A staff member named Yetta Stromberg was having campers salute the red flag, the symbol of communism. Stromberg was a member of the Young Communist League. In the state of California, there was a law prohibiting the display of the red flag. The camp's library also contained books and materials that promoted communist ideology. The Supreme Court used the concepts of clear and present danger for their argument in favor of Stromberg not subjecting the campers to any harm. The result of this case was that Stromberg did not violate the First and 14th Amendment. The law against raising a red flag in California was found unconstitutional. The next case, West Virginia versus Barnette, focused on the concept of compelling speech. West Virginia Board of Education made it mandatory for students to recite the Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom. If students chose to not recite the pledge, there were bound to be negative consequences. The Jehovah's Witness community felt that pledging the flag went against their beliefs and that it violated their First Amendment right. The Supreme Court decision overturned previous government decisions mandating the pledge on the grounds that schools, being a government institution, cannot compel speech. The final case taken into consideration is Brandenberg versus Ohio. Brandenberg versus Ohio primarily dealt with the concept of incitement. A leader of the Ku Klux Klan, Clarence Brandenberg, was speaking at a KKK rally on a private farm in Hamilton County, Ohio. Brandenberg used speech involving revengeance that targeted specific racial groups. Brandenberg was then convicted for incitement, but not actually eliciting an immediate action. The Supreme Court eventually overturned the charges held against Brandenberg on the basis that his speech, in fact, was not incitement. Though burning crosses and the racial language was threatening, the rally was held on a private property and did not incite specific harmful action. In 1968, legislature enacted the Flag Protection Act. The United States' involvement in the Vietnam War caused many people to question their patriotism to the U.S. Many incidences caused a push to protect one of, if not the greatest symbol of America, the flag. Throughout the 1960s, many protested the war by burning the flag. In 1967, President Johnson passed the Flag Protection Act, which states that whoever knowingly mutilates, defaces, physically defiles, burns, maintains on the floor or ground, or tramples upon any flag of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned. Texas versus Johnson involved a man named Gregory Lee Johnson, whom identified himself as an affiliate of the Revolutionary Communist Youth Brigade. He set the American flag on fire with kerosene during a Republican convention in Texas. Shortly after, he was cited under state law. Considering the events that had led up to it, Texas versus Johnson was a pivotal case in U.S. Supreme Court history that set precedents for the protection of free speech.